Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every Thursday, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts. My guest today is a French World Kickboxing Champion and former Commando Marine. He's been a professional bodyguard, a personal trainer, and created his own athletic brand, and is a licensed helicopter pilot. He was discovered in the 1987 Cannes Film Festival and has appeared in over 40 films and multiple TV series. In addition to being in front of the camera, he's also been involved in directing, producing, and screenwriting. Please welcome today my guest, Mr. Olivier Gruner. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great.
Well, thank you for doing the show. I truly appreciate your time. So,
you're welcome.
So what we like to do with each of my guests, I want to go back to the beginning and find out what was that first spark? What led to that first interest in martial arts for you?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. When I was in Paris, so in my high school was in the middle of Paris. And I was 11 years old, and I got attacked, and they stole my lunch money. And I felt very, I cried, I never told my mom, my parents. Okay. And I realized, the world is different. You got your parents who tried to keep you away from violence and bad things. And then you go to the world, because I used to go and take the subway, and I had to go through 5 different stations before I go to school. So when you're at school, you're by yourself, of course, and you go to school, and then you come back by yourself, and you take the subway back home. So on the way back from school, we used to go in the old Paris. We have very, I kind of call it, the building are very narrow, and they're very old, and it's very dark. Mm-hmm. And I got jumped in by, I think it was 3 guys. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I got scared, and obviously I started to say, I got to do something. But what's interesting, I didn't start with any martial art. I started with boxing. Okay. So, yeah, and the way I learned is my father was a surgeon, and so my father, of course, didn't want me to do boxing, so I couldn't go to a boxing club. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn at home, by watching whatever, books, learning from books. This is really what we did at that time. Okay. We didn't have any YouTube. And then I was in the south of France, because we used to go to the south of France, and there was a Bruce Lee movie. Mm-hmm. And this is where I discovered really the martial arts, and I really loved the philosophy and the amazing skills that Bruce Lee had. Right. And I got hooked. Okay. And so when did you... I started with karate.
Karate. Okay. Which style of karate? Do you remember?
Shotokan karate.
Nice. Yeah. I studied Shotokan too. So.
But you know what's interesting? I didn't learn from a club to go to a club, because it was too far. I was too young, I couldn't drive. So, and the house we live in was, where we spent our holidays was in the middle of this. It was a small little town, so there's no karate studio there. The studio were in a bigger city, which it's approximately 30 minutes from where we are. So my parents didn't want to drive me there because they're on vacation. Right. So I had to learn from a book. I bought a karate book, and I learned, and I spent hours and hours looking at the picture and looking at myself in the mirror and make sure that I had the perfect techniques. Okay. So that's the way I learned.
No. Yeah. So do you remember, was it the Gichin Funakoshi Shotokan book, or do you remember which book it was?
The only thing I can tell you is the color was yellow, and it was a draw. It was a drawing.
Yep.
It was there's no pictures. It was just a draw, like a sketch.
That sounds familiar. I think I might have had that same book when I was younger. That sounds familiar. So that's really cool.
Really?
So how long then until you started actual, training at a school? When did that happen?
Well, that's interesting. So it took me a while, maybe years, and I really started after the Navy. So when I joined the Navy, I joined it at 18, like 17 and a half, 18 after high school. And I spent 4 years. And so after those 4 years, it was like, 21, 22. This is where I really started,
Okay. So did you do any martial arts training while you were in the Navy? Is that part of the training?
No, we did close combat.
Okay.
We call it close combat. So it was not really a martial arts, it was more like, simple stuff,
Okay.
But it was not high end the way it is now. Things change a lot,
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So then after the military, then what did you seek out? What was your martial arts? Shotokan. So you got to go to a real school this time. Okay.
Yes. So I went to a school with this instructor was amazing, and I like him a lot because he was very strict and he was very specific on the movement.
Okay.
So if you were doing something like barely, if your kata was not perfect, if your I forgot the names obviously because I don't do it, but if your stand was not perfect, he was not happy with your with what you did. So again, the technique has to be extremely perfect before you move to the next move. So I was very and that was really good, and that's why I'm very big on techniques because of him. He was so good, and his name was Jean-Pierre Lavorato.
Okay. And how long did you train with him?
So he was in the south of France, so I trained with him for 6 months.
Okay.
But I was doing all the seminars.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about 6 months, it was really condensed because every seminar he had, I was going to.
Wow.
So, I go to his school, and then he has a seminar on Saturday, Sunday. I was taking it. It doesn't matter. He didn't care about if I was still a white belt, and I was so obsessed with it that he put me with a brown belt. So
wow.
He didn't give me a brown belt, but
right.
he put me with a,
for your training partner.
Because it takes 10 years. For him, it takes 10 years before he can give you a brown belt.
Wow.
So, yep.
And then, so did you start competition when you were with him, or did that come
nope.
later?
Okay. Competition was not in my mind at all because I think it's weak.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, competition is really against what the martial arts is all about. You know, I'm talking about the pure martial arts.
Right.
You compete is just for your ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's really for you to say, okay, well, I beat somebody, But really, this is not what we do martial arts for. We do martial arts was really for the spirit and the philosophy behind the martial arts, and that was really important. That's why I love martial arts, because of the philosophy behind it. And but I got sucked into the competition, of course.
Right. So what came next? What came next after that Shotokan training?
So I was trying to find another club because I moved to the French Alps because we had a place over there.
Okay.
And in Val Thorens, and I couldn't find any club for Shotokan. I found a couple clubs, right, but they were not as good as Jean-Pierre Lavorato.
Right.
I mean, they were not. They were just sloppy. When you look at them, you look at the white belt. The way they move was not right. It was not perfect, and I wanted perfection. So this is where I said, okay, I stopped this. But they had a really good club. The guy was Europe champion in kickboxing. So, and he was in Switzerland.
Okay.
And then, so I went there a couple times, and I got beat up. I mean, big time, because it's a big switch, between Shotokan and kickboxing.
Yep.
And then I went to Paris because we have a place in Paris. So we go to Paris, and I met Dominique Valera, and of course, I was the club, the best club in France.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time with him, and I became, I was in the French team, all kind of stuff. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then what? But then I competed.
Yeah. So
now I was sucked into competition. Now.
So what led to that? What made you finally decide to start competing?
Well, I didn't have any choices actually. It's like, like you spar with guys, they're competing, and suddenly say, hey, why don't you do a fight? And I'm like, I not really don't want to do a fight. No, I'm not interested in fighting. And then slowly and slowly, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it started like that.
Nice. You talked a lot about your instructor and stuff, and so when you going back to that first Shotokan instructor, so think about maybe that first class. What was it, that first class? What made you think this is for me? I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go for it. What is something that maybe stood out about your first one or two classes that just really made you want to keep doing it? Yeah,
I was very impressed with the techniques, how pure it was, and how picky Jean-Pierre was.
Okay.
Everything from, if you had a little stain on your gi, you will be kicked out of the school.
Wow.
That day. Oh, yeah.
Very strict.
Your gi has to be perfectly clean, everything. This guy really made a really great impression on martial arts to me,
That's nice.
And then after, I was obsessed with it, so I kept doing it, and I was practicing at home, so it was a 2-hour class, and then after that, I spent another 2 or 3 hours at home, practicing the kata.
Okay.
And I think it was amazing. I was really, and what's amazing about martial arts really is the fact that you don't need any weapons. With your hands, even if you were naked, you can defend yourself. And that was really what I was attracted. So it gives you a certain freedom, a peace of mind also as well. And this is what really made a big impact,
Oh, I agree completely. All right. So then how long, jumping back up to kickboxing, how long did you do kickboxing? And
until 87.
Okay. And did I read this right? It only took you 10 fights to become the middleweight champion?
No, it was more. More because some guys didn't show up.
Okay.
Some guys, what else? We had, it was an interesting time because it was a time where in France, obviously, I don't even know if the UFC is allowed in France. Still, I don't know. Oh. So they didn't really like kickboxing. They didn't want to have kickboxing in France.
Okay.
But so Valera really pushed it, and that's why he had to go to the U.S. all the time because the French sports, they didn't really like that violence, Right. So it was an interesting time. So some people, again, it was very, very well organized. It's just in Europe, it was not like it is today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what led to acting? What made you want to do that? Was that someone else's idea or something you always wanted to do?
No, I never wanted, really, I didn't want to act. That was not my goal.
Okay.
My goal, honestly, my dream was to go to California, right? To open a gym in California. That was it. That was my dream.
Okay.
That's all I wanted. And obviously, the path went in different ways.
just a little bit different.
Yeah.
So then how did that happen? So how did the acting thing happen?
Okay, so I was with two friends, one a Swedish guy and one American guy, and they stay at my house in Val Thorens. It's a ski resort, and we spent the whole season together working at different jobs. I had like 5 different jobs, in Val Thorens. I was doing, ski patrol, but more like a ski lift operator. I was, we were working at clubs, bouncers. So we had like 5 different jobs, right? And, but we had so much fun. Really, it was so much fun. We skied all day. It was so much fun, but we worked a lot.
Okay.
And then from there, we went to Cannes because my house is close in the south of France. It's close to Cannes. So, and my American friend he's a funny guy. His name is Dave. So Dave told me, he said, why don't you go to the south of France and apply for a job over there in Cannes? I said, I never applied for a job in Cannes, It's like, I don't need a job, He said, let's do it. That would be fun. So, of course, we go over there. We apply for a job. and I got a job for controlling the tickets in and out of the theater, right?
Okay.
And Dave said, "Why don't you put your poster like you were a champion on the wall?" I said, "Come on, Dave, I'm not going to do that. It looks stupid." I said, "No, just put it." So I put it on the wall, and then somebody, his name is Deo Mahaja, looked at it, and they said, "Oh, who's that?" I said, "It's me." So he touched my muscle, and he said, "Oh, good." And this is a time where Van Damme was so busy.
Yep.
So Imperial Entertainment, had a contract with him, but he was busy with other production companies. So Imperial Entertainment was looking for another guy. And Deo Mahaja just got me a meeting at Imperial Entertainment. So when the season was over, Dave and the Swede and my dog, I had a Saint Bernard with me, right, a big dog.
Mm-hmm.
We flew to, where did we fly to? We flew to Pennsylvania to where his house is. So we went over there. We stayed a week over there. And then I met a girl in the south of France, and she lived in Los Angeles. So I bought a Jeep, and I drove the Jeep to Los Angeles from Pennsylvania to Florida to LA.
Wow, that's a drive.
That was a long drive.
Yes, it is.
It was a long drive on the Jeep, convertible, and
Nice.
I crossed 2 hurricanes. I remember that.
Oh, wow.
It was fun. My dog was not with me. We left the dog in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So then I arrived in LA. So I met the girl that I met in France, and she hooked me up with her cousin, so to have a place to stay. And we went together, her and me, to Imperial and to meet the producers. And she told the producer that she was my agent.
Okay.
Which is great. It was easier.
Yeah.
And so they looked at it. So, okay. So, and then a week later, I got a call. They said, "Well, why don't we meet up? Why don't we want to start a film with you?" So we signed a 5-picture deal. And I met Eric Carson, and he went to the gym with me to make sure that was not a fake, and you can't tell, if you know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
And at that time, I was training at the Jet Center, where all the big guys were.
Benny, yep.
With Benny, even Chuck Norris was there sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. We had Peter Cunningham, all the Don Wilson was there, all the great guys. Benny, his brother Blinky. I mean, it was awesome to be around those amazing guys,
Wow.
right? That was a dream for a kickboxer,
Yeah.
And the gym was on Friar Street, and the gym was amazing. We had like jacuzzi, cold bath. We had everything that the fighter needed. We missed a lot. I mean, all the fighters, you can tell, Peter Cunningham, all these guys, they really missed the Jet Center. But anyway, so I took Eric Carson to the gym, and I gave him a demonstration, And he said, "Okay, great. Let's go and do it." So I met the writers, and the writers, 2 writers that I met at Imperial, and I tell them a little bit about my life story. And, like I got beat up and stuff like that, things like, they put in the film. Like there's a scene in Angeltown where the gang member are beating me, and they have maybe 15 guys, jumping on me.
Yep.
And that really happened to me in a ski resort,
Wow.
when I was a bouncer. It was so the biggest mistake I did, okay, that's really important for fighters.
Yep.
Because they're going to learn from my mistakes. So being a bouncer, so there was a guy, some guys asked me, say, "Olivier, there's a fight on top," because the owner owned a bar on top and a nightclub on the bottom.
Okay.
And the fight was at the bar. So I go in the bar, and I see a guy, a big English guy with a huge, and he's there, and there's nobody, there's like a little fence between the bar and the tables. And the guy was there, at the bar holding a big pitcher of beer, and he was screaming, and he was beating up. I mean, obviously he beat up a couple of people. So the owner, when she saw me coming, she said, "Olivier, can you throw the guy out?" So now I know I'm going to be, I got to do whatever I got to do. So I go over there and said, "Sir, please." So I put myself on my left foot forward. And I said, "Please, sir," and put my hand forward, the left hand forward. I said, please, sir, would you mind to follow me? You have to leave the premises. And the sergeant said, fuck you! And he slapped my left hand, which turned me, which is great, for my right hand. And I punched him straight in the face with a great right. Boom! The guy fell. He tried to come back and he fell again. But here's my mistake. I didn't look around. 15 of his friends were on the other side of the bar. They all jumped on me.
Wow.
And they started to beat the crap out of me. But there were so many guys that couldn't figure out who they were. They were drunk, obviously, that they couldn't figure out, who they were beating up. So they were beating up each other. So I crawled underneath and I got the shotgun because over there it's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And then it was a time where the police didn't have any weapons, the police didn't have any weapons at that time. So when I show up with a shotgun and a bucket, they all just run away. And
wow.
And just, I'm going to stop there because nobody needs to know the rest.
That's okay. It's a great story.
And the mistake was this, guys. The mistake is really about me not looking around to make sure there was nobody else, But being a fighter, you focus on one guy. Watch this. What's even worse, what I did is that after whatever happens, I come back and I'm seeing the guy that I just punched in the face. And 4 of these guys were holding him. I went back and there was a ice rink, and they were holding the guy towards his apartment, I guess. And I went back, and you know who I punched again? Same guy.
Wow.
And this guy started to kick me, but he was ice, so they were falling also as well. So it was not really a very powerful kick, so I managed it. But my mistake was to be focused only on one guy. Okay. And that's what part of one fighter. The fighter, you're focused on one guy, and that's your target. You are in the street, your target's only one. It's not only one guy. It's guys all the way around. So you got to make sure that you protect your 6, your 9, and your 3.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story. I love it though. It's so awesome.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, and I just love how you just randomly got involved in movies. I mean, that's just so cool that they just saw you and hey, let's make a movie. That's awesome.
Honestly, like when somebody wants something so bad, and sometimes I see some actors, they're really good actors, but they will never get the chance because of somehow, the producers. I don't know. It's kind of this is very interesting. It's I got lucky, honestly. I was at right place. Timing is really important in life anyway, so we know that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So you made your first movie in 1990, Angel Town, and you said you've been making movies ever since. You've made over 40 movies, and I do have to ask because I just know I was looking through your IMDb, and you were on one of my favorite TV series. You got to do an episode of Martial Law with Sammo Hung. How cool was that?
Yes. Well, I got a story for you on that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got stories on the lot. True story. So I got called to martial arts. I said, "Oh, I'm excited. It's a big studio. I grew up, right? Mm-hmm. So I go over there, and of course, they are Chinese choreographer, right? And they don't joke around. These guys are working out. They're no joke. Go over there, and then and we try. They asked me to do a rehearsal. I said, "Okay, sure." So I do the rehearsal, but most of the time when I do my rehearsal, I do it half speed. Okay. Because in case if something happened, I'll make sure that I don't get hurt on rehearsal. If we shoot in the take-up, you full speed, and if I get hurt, I get hurt. That's okay, but if we have that film.
Right.
So I said, okay, I go half speed, and then I said, what are they saying? That they want you to do full speed. And look at them. Said, no, I don't do full speed on the rehearsal. I said. So they start to, Chinese, when you listen to them, sometimes it's pretty aggressive, but you don't know they're mad, but they're just talking. So they're, so I go, okay, that's fine. So I'll do it. And I was not doing the rehearsal with Sammo Hung. I was doing the rehearsal with one of them.
Okay.
Right? Because they wanted to see my speed, I guess. That was the whole point. So I do it, and then I'm killing that. 1, 2, 3 kicks, and then was my hamstring. Mastering pop out.
Ouch.
And I was and everybody heard it. And so they look at each other and say, I said, okay. And I'm telling you, like, I'm suffering. Can't even move my leg, right? So the medic comes in right away because he heard it. He said, okay, so I know what happened. So we screwed. We started. I said, no, we're not. Trust me, we're not. Give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes, guys. Give me 5 minutes. I go in the bathroom and I said, I go to the medic. Said, give me a bandage, a very strong bandage. And I bandaged my leg as hard as I could, so I couldn't feel the blood. And I did the whole scene.
Wow. That's crazy.
But watch it. So I did the whole thing, right? So the whole day, I'm fine. I go home. I'm not kidding. When I went home, and this is where, I lie down in my bed, and then suddenly I'm shivering. And I'm in shock at this point. So my girlfriend looked at me and said, oh, should we go to the hospital? No. Okay. Just take some Advil and something, and I'll be fine. At least for hours and hours, I remember shivering. It was pretty.
Wow.
Pretty cool, but it looked pretty good. So,
I'll have to go back and watch that episode again. I just started rewatching that show a few weeks ago because I found it online, and that was.
Oh yeah, you're right, because I received some residual on that, so I knew it was on.
Nice. It's such a good show. I mean, it's a very, very underrated. Didn't last long enough. Just a fun show. So I agree. But
Sam was so funny too.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it was hilarious. It was a great show. I loved it.
That's cool. That's great. So, like I said, you still do move. Now you moved into directing. You moved into producing. You moved into screen. So what do you like better out of the acting, the screenwriting, the directing, the producing? What do you enjoy the most?
So here's the thing. Here's the truth. For when you produce a film, you're going to be stressed out because you're dealing with money, you're dealing with people. It's very stressful, but it's fun. There's a certain part that is pretty cool. It's like going to war, being a captain of a group of guys, and you try to keep them in line, right?
Right.
Directing is fantastic because you really create the shots, and if you know what you're doing, and you're pretty artistic with the like about Pure, an example, is really good DP, really good. He knows how to set up the camera. I mean, director too, but the visual that he has in his mind and the way he uses the camera is pretty amazing. So so directing is great.
Okay.
Acting is great if it's a big budget.
Okay.
Otherwise, it sucks. Yeah, if it's a big budget, it's great because you have time to rehearse. You have time to get into the character. So, example, for Nemesis, I remember Albert gave me a private trainer, Eric Sternlick, really great guy, for the role. He told me, listen to that music when you read the script. So I really, really worked hard on the character.
Okay.
So for an actor, this is great when you have money. When you work with no money in movies, is not fun. It's not fun. I don't like it. Really, I don't.
Okay. I
mean, I'll do it because, it's good to keep myself on the screen, but it's not that fun,
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have I know it's usually not easy to pick, but do you have a favorite movie that you've done? Is there one or maybe just one that's really special to you?
Well, obviously Nemesis, the fighter, or Savat, was great because my parents were there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
What else? Oh, it was fun. That was great. What else? The one with John Ritter was great. He was so funny. I love John.
I love just such an amazing actor.
He was so funny. But the problem is, like, we had such great chemistry on the set, and they didn't use.
Really?
The character didn't fit him. Yeah. But we were laughing constantly with John. He's such a great guy. Then I did, so Robin Townsend was fun too.
Okay.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did also, it's really, when you make a movie, it's really about who you work with,
Okay.
Do you have a good time, or it's going to be an intense set? And when it's tense, it's not fun, even if you are an actor, in the show. So, but if it's relaxed and if you have a good time, if everybody works as a team, even if it's a lower budget, that can be fun, especially if you work with your friends.
Okay.
And that's why I think all of us, when we work together and we work on different films, like Martin Cove, when we did a couple films together, Cynthia Rothrock, Don, all these guys. When we get together, it's like friends, making a movie, which is great because we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I suppose if you're having fun, that's probably not like work then, is it?
Exactly.
Nice.
So a favorite movie, I will say, Nemesis, Angeltown, Nemesis, Savat. I like Sector 4.
Okay.
But it was a lot of work for me. There's a lot of scenes that you see in that film that I had to shoot by myself.
Okay.
So I used a red camera, and so I went on the snow by myself. I had a motorhome, and the way I was doing is I plant a piece of wood, and I focus on a piece of wood, and this is where I'm going to do the scene. So
wow,
it was pretty wild.
That's cool.
Yeah, you need 90 minutes to finish a film, approximately 90 minutes.
Okay.
So that's what it meant.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when did Gruner Tactical? What led to that?
Oh, that's a good question. So here's the thing. So I fly helicopters. So I used to fly. I fly for ABC. I fly for the news. I used to do tours, all that stuff. But at the same time, when you're gonna be surprised, I don't really like guns.
Okay.
I really don't. That's something people will be surprised. But you work a lot with guns, Yeah, but I don't really like them. It's not. But the problem is that we're living in a society where you have to understand the weapons that you're gonna be fighting against, and if you don't, you're way behind the curve. A lot of guys are afraid of guns, but you should not be afraid of guns. If you understand, you'll be okay with it. But you have to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied Gruner Tactical because I think I've done some executive protection, and I went to a lot of classes. They have like a 2-day class, 15-day classes for executive protection course. And I'm telling you, it's like, for me, that was not good.
Okay.
I said, guys, I need the real thing. I have military experience. I don't need to see things on paper. That's okay, but we need to really see what would happen if I come out of the car with my principal and I get attacked. What would happen? So by doing Gruner Tactical, I do a lot of scenarios. So I don't teach them how to shoot. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
They should learn how to shoot, and then they come to me and we do scenarios, or I show them different techniques to make it faster or to make it applicable to the real life, right? And we do that through scenarios. So example, I tell them, okay, so you're going to leave these premises with your principal, you're going to drive it, and you're going to come back to the principal. Mm-hmm. And during that, I'm going to attack. I'm not going to tell you what kind of weapon I'm going to use, but you're going to be under attack. And we'll see what you do. So the great thing about this is, like, I want them to make mistakes. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Because
you learn from making mistakes. But it's not like feel bad because you made mistakes. It's actually the opposite. I said, okay, so this is great. So this is what you did. So let's try to fix it and make it work. And let's see if that techniques or that tactics work. And we do it, and then the principal is alive. And then they realize it. So I don't have really to teach. I just show them and they experience it.
Right.
And that's the difference the way I teach. The experience, and I don't teach any of my the specific techniques, because at the end is really to get your family or your principal home, with nobody throwing a shot or nobody getting hurt. That's the point.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that people don't understand about the different type of weapon,
right.
But you have to really understand, like, what's the difference between the 5.56, the 2.23s, what is the difference between the 9, 45, the 40, and the 10. Obviously, it's the impact and the result that you're going to have, and the history behind it. And that's really important.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking through the website. If I ever get back out to California, I'd love to take one of the classes. It just looks like a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun. Yeah, I have a big class tomorrow. So.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so what advice would you give someone who's never done martial arts in their life and they're thinking about trying it out? What would you tell them to maybe a couple things they should look for and maybe some things they should avoid in a school and an instructor? Absolutely.
So, and that's big for me.
Mm-hmm.
And every class, I start my class like this. It's not about who I am. It's not about the instructor. The instructor can get a bunch of trophies, being the top guys in the world, but it's about really what he's going to teach you. So if you go to a class and you don't learn anything, and it's all about the instructor, oh yeah, I'm training with that guy. Oh wow, oh awesome, because you want to impress your friend, that's a waste of time. But if you have an instructor who doesn't have enough fight, but you learn so much from that instructor, that's the one you want to train with.
Okay.
So it's not about the instructor, it's about you. It's about what are you going to learn, and that's really important.
Okay. What are your thoughts on MMA and the UFC, and are you a fan?
I think it was fascinating when we see the Gracie doing his stuff, and it was really a mind-blowing for us, and then, the kickboxing, the stand-up took over. It was fantastic. The problem that I have right now, they start to ruin the martial arts because we forgot the philosophy. It's all about a bunch of thugs going over there and just beating the crap out of each other. That's all it is. That's why I don't watch it anymore. And sad because it was good promise, to have a UFC. But at the end, when you look at it now, it's just, no, I'm not. I mean, I watch it sometimes, but I'm not watching every fight like I used to,
Same. Yep.
It's we have to go back. And I think that's a problem in our society right now. It's like in the world, not only here, but in the world. We need to go back to the philosophy, to what's right or wrong, and it's easy. You steal something is wrong.
Yes.
You beat up somebody because you want his lunch money is wrong, right? Now I'm not saying I think in the world everybody should be able to sleep somewhere, and everybody should be able to feed itself. That's true. But there's certain things that I disagree with.
Right.
So, and being a good person too. I think we But then, if you look at the new generation, especially the teenager, they don't have any role models anymore. The stars, they all take drugs and they all, drunks and they're all on the news, but bad news. Then you have athletes the same way.
Yep.
Now even the cartoon all over the place is very confusing for a teenager. So I think the world has to change, and I think the martial art, the Eastern philosophy can really help a lot, how to be humble. And I think to be humble, you have to be extremely strong. So I had something that occurred in the Navy that I had a guy, I was in a club, and I was dazing, looking at this girl. She was so beautiful. I mean, gorgeous girl. I was just looking at her like she was a beautiful girl. That's it. I didn't want anything. It was not a sexual thing. It was just, she was beautiful. And the boyfriend got mad and said, let's go outside. So, and I was in France. So I go outside and he punched me straight in the face, bloody nose and stuff.
Wow.
And I looked at him and said, are you okay now? Are you satisfied? Are you good? And the guy looked at me, so you're not going to fight? Nope. And I left. But the point I'm making here is sometimes, you got to be the bigger man, because the big picture could have put myself in big trouble. Maybe I would have hurt the guy, or maybe it would have hurt me. Who knows? I mean, and then I will not be able to become the Commando Marine, which was really my goal, to get a Green Beret. So sometimes you get to be smarter and just walk away from fights and not be, not try to impress your friend and the people around you, because at the end, nobody cares.
That's true. That's true. So in the early days of the UFC, did anyone ever try to talk you out of coming out of retirement and stepping into the octagon?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I had those guys. I was at the Gold Gym, and they came in and said, hey, do you want to fight? I think I was supposed to fight the Gracie or whatever, but I said, nah, I had a couple of films to do. Plus, my mentality was not there. I was more like, it was I think the 90s, late 90s. Okay. Is that right? Or
the first UFC was, I think, 94, I believe, was the first one.
Okay, so so I was doing very well with the movies, a bunch of girls and stuff. So I was not in the mood just to to go fight again. I said, plus I have everything to lose,
Yeah, nothing to prove. So.
you build a reputation, be the badass, in the film, which we all know it's just a movie, right? Yep. We're never badass, trust me. That's the truth. You can always get beat up by somebody.
Nice.
That's true.
Okay.
So I looked at it and said, I'm not going to do it. No. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Who are some martial artists, whether they're people you've met and worked with and trained with, or just people you've maybe read about or studied? Who are some martial artists that you would put on like your Mount Rushmore of martial arts? Who are some of the just up there?
Great question. So here was my dream when I was with the French team with Valéa. So Valéa is an amazing guy. You know, he went and he joined the U.S. team, and he was with Bill Wallace, Jeff Smith, Joe Lewis,
wow,
and all these guys. And these guys were my heroes.
Okay.
Really, they were. They don't even know it, you know, but they were my heroes. I said, I wanted to train with them so bad. So I tried to ask, you know, where could I train with Bill Wallace? Because it was the fastest left leg in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated by Bill Wallace, really, really. And I couldn't find where he was. So I found Jeff Smith. So I want to train in Virginia with the U.S. team, and the U.S. team was training with Jeff Smith at that time.
Okay.
So I spent, I think, a month over there. So then again, to answer your question, Bill Wallace, Jeff Smith, Joe Lewis, and there was another guy. I forgot. Another guy that belongs to the U.S. team was really good too.
Okay. Well, I've met two of those guys. I've met Bill Wallace and I met Joe Lewis years ago. I got to do a little training with Bill at a seminar he did, and I got to meet and talk to Joe Lewis. But yeah, two amazing guys.
The way.
I'm hoping to get Bill on the show. It's kind of a dream. I'm hoping he'll say yes. So.
Oh yeah, Bill's great. Bill and Jeff Smith is great too. He's easy going too. You know, you should try to talk to him. He's really big and yeah, he's really nice man. I mean, you guys are awesome. You know what I like the most is like they're really humble too. You know,
right?
And the good thing with them is like they really develop the kickboxing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're the pioneer of the kickboxing. So we owe them a lot. We don't realize that, but we do, you know. Definitely. We're not talking about kickboxing. We're not talking about Muay Thai. We're talking about kickboxing.
Right. I agree. I know before you mentioned Pete Cunningham. I actually got to
Pete, of course. But
yep, I saw him fight. So I saw him fight in 1995 in Long Beach.
But so Peter Cunningham is really beautiful to watch. I mean, you see Peter fight it's like a show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's even Kathy Long. You remember Kathy Long?
Yep. Yeah, she was on my show. I had Kathy on the show.
Oh, she's great.
Yes.
Man. She was so beautiful.
Yep.
I mean, you know, you remember that was fun. That was great people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So a little earlier, you talked about the philosophies of martial arts. So I'm curious, in all your years in martial arts, is there one philosophy that you've learned that is just rises to the top? It's very important, very personal to you. You keep coming back to it.
Be like water, my friend.
Nice. That's a great one. You can never go wrong with Bruce Lee. Come on.
Be water, my friend.
Yep.
I love it.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, you know, when, really the young martial artists, if they can read Sun Tzu, that would be great.
Yes.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War, that'd be fantastic. You know, there's some books that are great. Some didn't translate very well, so you got to be careful. You know, you got to really get a really good book, you know. Make sure you're picky with that.
Yes.
Because you really want the philosophy, not just you know, the venture of Sun Tzu, the adventure of Sun Tzu, but it's more the philosophy you need.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah, and you can use the great thing about Sun Tzu. You can use The Art of War. You can use it for business also as well.
Exactly.
So,
a lot of CEOs require people to read it. So yeah, it's a very, very good book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. And that actually brings us up to our next question. So, your favorite martial arts book?
There it is.
There it is. All right.
Well, yeah. God of War. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. No, that one's been that's been an answer a few times, so that's good.
Yep.
All right. So next one, this one, maybe I don't know. When you were in the 80s, did you play video games at all? Do you have a favorite martial arts video game?
No. See, I don't play video games.
Okay.
My son plays all of them 24/7. Obviously, you know, so that's the generation.
Oh yeah.
I cannot sit. If I sit in front of the computer, it's just to edit.
Okay.
And then, but you know what's interesting? The young generation, they have to understand that when we got the first computer, it was not Apple. It was just obviously IBM at that time.
Yep.
IBM, or it was another, I forgot which one I had. But
I think my first one was Commodore 64.
You remember they used to crash all the time?
Yep.
Oh, we could not. We were so frustrated. I remember I spent sometimes 3 days editing a little thing, and it crashed on me, and I lost everything. I hated it.
Dang.
So me and the computer were not really good friends.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Oh, come on, Kung Fu.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you ever watch the sequel that came out in the 90s, the Kung Fu, The Legend Continues?
Who was in it? I don't even
David
know.
Carradine was in it. He played his own great grandson. It took place in modern day San Francisco.
Nah. No.
It wasn't quite the same, but I liked it just because there was martial arts in it, but it wasn't quite the same as the original. So
Yeah, it's funny. Like you watch 10 minutes and then you realize, no, it's not funny. But Kung Fu, the way it was shot, the original was very special. You can tell that, the feeling when you watch it is like you get inspired by it just by the first 5 minutes.
Yep. All right. And these last two questions, you can't pick something you've been in. Do you have a favorite martial arts movie?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Well, obviously Bruce Lee.
Yep.
I forgot which one.
Enter the Dragon or one of the other ones, or?
The one that really inspired me. And hold on. There's two. There are two. And you're going to be blown away by this.
Okay.
One, of course, it was Bruce Lee.
Yep.
But another one was a cheap Chinese movie that was made for Chinese people.
Okay.
But it was so good. And it was not even in English. It was in Chinese, and it was on videotape.
Okay.
And I can't recall the name.
Okay.
But it was not, nobody knows the guy, but it was a typical, film. He works as a dishwasher, and then, something happened, and he fights, But there's something about it that really inspired me about doing martial arts.
Okay.
So,
well, if you remember the name, you'll have to tell
Chuck
me.
Norris. Okay. I got to name Chuck Norris too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
but hold on. But Chuck Norris was not really the film he made was more military films, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, he had his films had a lot of martial arts in it, but yeah, his specialty was like Missing in Action and Invasion USA. Delta Force was one of my favorites. I love Delta Force.
Yeah. He doesn't know, but we used to go because me and my dad, I had brothers, so we used to all go together. It was a special night when a Clint Eastwood movie was coming out. Chuck Norris was coming in the theater, so that was a big night for us. So that's why these guys were really my favorite actors,
Yep.
And the James Bond, of course. But Chuck Norris, when he had Mission in Action, was like, yeah, let's go and see it.
Actually, I think one of my favorite movies of his though was Sidekicks, the comedy one with Joe Piscopo.
I haven't seen it.
Really? It's so good. It's early 90s. He's a young kid who gets bullied and stuff, and has an older gentleman that starts training him in martial arts, and he ends as Chuck Norris is his hero, so he daydreams all the time that he's going on adventures with Chuck Norris. And then in the end of the movie, he actually gets to meet Chuck Norris and stuff. And it's really cool. It's a really good family movie. I've watched it with my kids and stuff, and they all like it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I got to tell you that this is so my dad came to LA, right, when we were shooting one of the films. I think it was a Savant. And the Jet Center was still there. So we went to the Jet Center, and Chuck Norris was there. I mean, I met him a few times, but my dad was like, oh, my God.
That's cool.
Because you remember, in France, it's different. These guys are bigger than life, It's not like, you see them every day, or even once, whatever. But so when he met Chuck Norris, he was, that was so cool.
I almost got to meet him because he used to come to a tournament in Minnesota where I live. And the one year I didn't go to the tournament was the year he was there. So I missed out. The next year is when I met Bill Wallace, and I met Joe Louis, and a lot of those guys. But yeah, the year I didn't go was when Chuck Norris was there. I was so depressed. But I mean, I met Ernie Reyes Jr., Ernie Reyes Sr., I met all these guys, and I did not meet Chuck Norris. So it's kind of a bummer. But that's life. That's what happens. So. All right. Final question. This one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Is there just any movie you've seen that you think just has an amazing or your favorite fight scene?
Well, come on. Let's see. Well, there's a few of them. Mm-hmm. There's only one. There's The Big Blue.
Okay.
I don't know if you know it.
It's
not really famous here, but in Europe it was huge.
Okay.
That's one of them. It's about a free diver. and the dolphins. And I mean, it's a great story, a love story. It's perfect. It's great.
Cool.
I like every kind of genre, even love ones, you know, like Serendipity. Have you seen that?
Oh, it's a good movie. Yep. Yeah. With John Cusack.
So, yeah, it's great.
Yep.
I like that guy.
John Cusack,
awesome.
fellow kickboxer.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he trained. So was he ever training at the Jet Center when you were there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy too. I mean, I met him a few times in Malibu. Very good guy. And,
nice.
Yeah.
So anything else that I maybe forgot to mention? Anything else you want to mention before I let you go?
Well, no, I think we covered a lot. The only things I will say is like, I think what's important about life, that's what I will say, you know, it's not really what you're going to accomplish, but it's more about can you inspire other people, like Bruce Lee did, you know, or like, I don't know. And, you know, and I think that's really important, you know, and I think if all the martial artists could help bringing back the philosophy and the, you know, the chaos that we are living, not knowing what's right or wrong, that's a way to go back into the basics.
Okay.
Maybe we can help somehow. Because the 4 teenagers, I mean, they are going through a rough time right now. So
yes. And
I think they need help, you know. It's not like, you know, we try to be better than them, not because they're having a tough time because of the circumstances. So, and maybe by joining a martial arts school with a really martial arts school, not a U.S. school, you can learn mixed martial arts. But if they put the philosophy behind, it would be great too, you know. There's no, you know, like Aikido example. Mm-hmm. That's why I like Steven Seagal. Some people don't like him, but I like him because of the philosophy, and I think he's really talented, you know. No,
I agree. No.
Above the law.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Hard to Kill, Above the Law, Under Siege. Yeah, some great movies.
And also one more thing. Don't be afraid to make mistakes because we all made mistakes. We all screwed up. So that's something, you know, a lot of people, they think that we are perfect, but we are not. Right. We are humans. We make mistakes, but it's getting up and try to cover it. And admit it like you screwed up. That's a hard one too. Right?
That is true. That's very hard. Nice. Well, I just want to thank you. This has been so much fun. I've been a fan of yours for a while, and I was so excited when you said yes. And I love your movies, and
thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, next time I'm in Los Angeles, I definitely want to look it up for Gruner Tactical. That looks like it'd be a lot of fun to go through.
Hold on, before we leave, I got to tell you the story. So sorry, one more and that's it. And
no problem.
Watch it. You go love it.
Okay.
So I was with my girlfriend, and we're in Malibu, right? And we're walking on the beach, and there's and I'm going to take a shower because I went in the ocean, and it's an outside shower, and there's 3 people. They stopped and they said, they asked me, can we take a picture? And I look at them and said, for what? I said, aren't you an actor? Oh shit, you're right. I'm an actor. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay. That was she laughed so hard because sometimes, you know, it's not like in the 90s, you know. In the 90s, we used to be known, you know. Now it's different, you know.
Yep. People still know you. That's a great story. I love it.
Yeah. But you know, my mind is very different, you know.
That's awesome. But seriously, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed this so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.